I think most of the participants can hear. If some of you have any problems in hearing, then please check your audio, or alternatively, you can log in through YouTube Live also. The link will be provided on the chat.
Right, sir. So, as sir already mentioned, we are live on YouTube as well. And hello and welcome. I'm Shubham from Team Webtel, and I welcome you on behalf of Webtel to this webinar, wherein we'll talk about the recent changes which has been made on TCS on sale of goods, which is a very important update, and I'm sure that it is going to impact all of the attendees. So, on very high demand, we have requested sir to keep a webinar on such topic, and sir has prepared a content for us. So, before beginning the webinar, I would like to mention a few points for the people who are streaming from YouTube. You can write your comments in the live chat section on the below the video, and we'll take them at the end of the session. And all those people who have joined us through Zoom portal, they can post their queries and ask the questions at the chat section of this webinar. In case you have any problem connecting to audio, we'll share the direct YouTube link in the chat section. You can switch to there. Uh, Also, I would like to request all the participants to kindly turn off your videos for a better bandwidth. And looking for a very interactive session. So keep asking your queries to make it more interactive. And sir will be very happy to answer this. First, it is my pleasure to introduce our organization, Webtel. As you all must be aware, that Webtel is a 2-decade-old compliance company. We are the leaders when it comes to compliance, and we started with TDS and tax, and we are also leading in GST, XBRL, and other professional compliance products. With this, we have specialized products designed and made for professional brothers, which is Virtual Office, a website for professionals, Work at Home, VA, uh, many other products. And also, we have corporate solutions like payroll solutions, HR Pearls, GST integrated solutions for GST return filing, e-invoicing integration, e-way bill generation integration, and now TCS integration is also available. That's a new addition to one of our services. We are already giving TDS and tax software from around a decade, but for this new return, we have designed a new integration module just for you. Today, we have CA Rajeev Khandelwal ji, who is also the director of our organization and has a vast experience of more than 25 years in direct taxes and indirect taxes. And he has been an eminent speaker and faculty in GST, participating and deliberating in more than 300 webinars and seminars all around the country. And again, sir, we are very fortunate to have you on our platform. And also, thank you so much for preparing this presentation in a short time, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shubham. Good morning, participants, or rather, I should say good afternoon because it's past 12. And today's topic, as you are aware, is TCS on goods. And I think already you have read about it, you have heard about it. But when we start doing things, then we probably see some issues crop which were not discussed in these kind of forums. So rather than theoretical and legal aspects, I'll be giving more emphasis on the practical aspects. So let us begin this webinar. So what are the challenges in TCS on sale of goods? Let us see. So what all I'll be covering here is the need and applicability of this new provision, the basics, legal provisions, finer points, accounting and taxation issues, practical issues and how to handle them, and how to use technology for help, and whether we need it or not. That also we'll see. So TCS is not a new provision. It's there for quite some time, and we've been collecting TCS on goods or a few services also, and depositing tax and filing returns. So nothing new in that. But now the new provision is, and most of it is on at the time of debit or receipt. So whatever, whichever is earlier, as in the case of TDS, which credit or payment, whichever is earlier. So here also it is, but here specifically TCS on goods is in the case of receipt of goods, and it is applicable in case the receipt of goods is more than 50 lakhs in a financial year. So why there is so much discussion and debate that we need to see? Let's see what the section says, 206C1H. Every person being a seller who receives any amount as consideration for sale of any goods of the value or aggregate of such value exceeding 50 lakh rupees in any previous year, other than the goods being exported out of India or goods covered under the relevant subsections 1F, 1G, etc., shall, at the time of receipt of the amount, collect from the buyer a sum equal to 0.1% of the said sale consideration exceeding 50 lakh rupees as income tax. So this is a basic section, subsection, and from here itself and the various clarifications that the department has issued from time to time, particularly in a circular and also otherwise. So all that together we will see to get answers to various questions. So what was the need of this provision, first of all? Already so many goods we have TCS, and sometimes it was even levied on gold, etc. That was removed because there was a lot of hue and cry. But why this particular on TCS on goods? That's the problem, is because some suppliers do not file GSTR 1 or 3B or either of them. Some file 3B and pay the tax partly only. So there is mismatch of data. And it seems that there is GST and income tax evasion. And that is why the government thinks that by doing so, it will be able to catch such habitual offenders. Let us see how things happen and whether they are able to do that or not. Let us see. So first of all, the basics. This provision is applicable from 1st of October 2020, and this is the first month, and we are already on 31st of October, and by 7th of the November, we'll have to deposit this TCS also. It is obviously not applicable on payments received up to 30th of September. So no issue if you've already received payment up to 30th of September. Whether the billing has happened or not, that is immaterial. The receipt of payment is more important. And it is applicable to a seller if turnover is greater than 10 crores in the previous year. So for 2021, we have to see the turnover in 1920. So if in 1920 the turnover was greater than 10 crores, and turnover includes everything, all goods, services, exempt, taxable, even goods which are outside the scope of GST, everything is covered in turnover. If it is more than 10 crores in 1920, then this provision becomes applicable to the seller. And then further, we have to see that the receipt should be more than 50 lakhs from a particular buyer. And if it's a new business, this provision is not applicable because there is no previous year sales. It was zero, so it's not applicable. So it's not that once TCS is become applicable to you, it will be applicable every year. Because now what the provision stands is, you have to see in the immediately preceding year. So if in 1 year it is more than 10 crores, it will be applicable in the next year, like in 2021. If in 2021 the turnover is less than 10 crores, in the next year it will not be applicable. I think the government will make a change that once it is applicable, it will continue to be applicable. But as of now, that is not the case. And it is obviously applicable on receipts above 50 lakhs in a financial year from a buyer. Only in those cases where the receipts are more than 50 lakhs from a particular buyer, it will be applicable. Otherwise, it will not be applicable. So obviously applicable in the case of bigger parties. Receipts may pertain to any year, current year, previous year, or a future year. Doesn't matter. Future year, I mean the billing will be there in the next year, or the billing happened in the earlier year. You have to see whatever amount has been received. You need not be bothered about the bill issue. So it's applicable even on advance payment. And for threshold of 50 lakhs, receipts of the full year is to be seen. So for 2021, we have to see the receipts of entire 2021, whether before 1st of October or after 1st of October. The total receipts from the party in the full year have to be seen for the threshold applicability. And tax, as we saw in the subsection, is to be collected at the time of receipt of consideration. So TCS is applicable on the total sale consideration received. We'll see these things in greater detail just now. And there is no need to adjust discount, sales return, taxes, etc. in this. This has been clarified by circular number 17 of 29th of September. So these are the basic things. If somebody is unable to hear the voice, as Sai Wanga is saying, you please check your audio, because I think everybody, generally people are able to hear. And if there's a problem, please check your audio, or also you can go on YouTube where it is being streamed live. The link is provided in the chat box. So what is the rate of TCS in this case on goods? Let us see. The normal rate is 0.10%. The rate till 31st March, as you are aware, in most of the cases has been reduced by 25%. So in till 31st March 2021, the rate is 0.075%. And in either case, if the PAN or Aadhaar has not been provided, then the rate is 1%. It is generally 10% of the normal rate. So it is 1%. And in many cases, as you are aware, in the case of TDS, we give declaration in 15GH, like banks get declarations in 15GH that our income does not exceed the limit threshold of that year. So please do not deduct TDS. Similarly, in TCS, we have 27C declaration, whereby the buyer can say, please do not deduct any TCS, collect any TCS. So that option is there. Then also we have an option to apply to the income tax department for issue of nil or lower collection, because in the case of TDS it is deduction, in the case of TCS it's collection. So we request them not to collect TCS or deduct TDS, because the income is not that extent. But in this case, for purpose of this sub provision on TCS on goods, these are not applicable. So no declaration can be given in 27C, and you cannot apply to the income tax department for a nil or lower collection certificate. So these things are not applicable. So it has to be deducted, and it has to be collected in every case. Obviously, there are some exemptions. Let us see which are these. So applicability on goods and services, it's applicable only on goods. As we saw in the subsection also, the language of the section, it is to be collected on goods only. And in any case, TCS, in the case, TCS is generally applicable on goods only, because for services we have TDS, sorry. So TCS is generally on goods, on just a very few services also they levied. But this provision on goods, 1H, is applicable only in the case of goods. It's not applicable in the case of services. TCS on goods is not applicable. Let's say, see which cases. In the case of exports, it's not applicable. So in the case of exports, whatever consideration you are receiving, no TCS is applicable. Also, if TCS is already applicable in some other subsection, like in the case of coal, lignite, scrap, etc., if it's already applicable, then TCS on goods under this subsection will not be applicable. If there's any question, you can keep on asking on the chat box. I'll try and reply in between, and or we'll stop in between for some time, take up your questions, or otherwise in the end, obviously we'll take all these questions. So if TCS is already applicable under some other subsection, then also TCS on goods under subsection 1H shall not be applicable. Then another case, TDS is already applicable in some other section. And it's not only applicable, it's deducted also. If it is applicable but the buyer has not deducted TDS, in that case still TCS will be applicable in this subsection. So both the requirements have to be fulfilled, that TDS is applicable and it has been deducted by the buyer. So this needs to be taken care of. So in all these cases, TCS on goods shall not be applicable. Then TCS is applicable under other heads we just now saw. So which are these heads? Let us see. 206C subsection 1, alcoholic liquor for human consumption, tin to leaves, timber, etc. Scrap, minerals, coal, lignite, etc. In all these sections, since TCS is applicable under subsection 1, that is why it is not applicable under subsection H. Or 206C1F, motor vehicles exceeding 10 lakh of rupees in value. That's applicable. 206C1F is applicable. So under 1H is not applicable. You don't have to collect TCS on the single transaction twice under two sections. It has to be collected on one subsection only. Then also 206C1G, the new subsection which has also come, foreign remittance above 7 lakhs under liberalized remittance scheme, and also foreign tour package. So in all these cases, the TCS will be collected in the relevant subsections and not under 206C1H. Now, till nil TCS, whether it is to be shown, in some cases TCS will be nil, whether this is required to be shown in the TCS return. I would request you, let's try and make it a little interactive. So please reply in the chat box whether if the nil TCS is there, TCS is not to be collected in that case, whether that needs to be shown in the TCS return 27 EQ or not. Please your answers. And there's somebody's asking excess advance. I think the question is if advance has been received, excess advance has been received, and part of it or full amount of advance has been returned back. So if it is during the month, you can probably refund the full of it, including the TCS portion. But if it happens after the month and you have already collected TCS, already paid it, then you don't need to return it to the party. He can claim it in his ITR.
Sir, most of the answers are no from YouTube.
So, okay. And here also, Pradeep Biswal is asking whether it is applicable on service sector also. I specifically told you that TCS on 1H, this subsection that we are today discussing, it's not applicable on services. It's applicable only on goods. Then somebody is saying yes, somebody is saying no. We'll just now see. Then we have receipts for 1920 sales in 2021, which is more than 5 crore. Should we collect TCS? So it has to be seen on receipts. भूल जाइए कि वो पिछले साल का है, बिलिंग पिछले साल की है, इस साल की है या अगले साल की है. You don't need to be bothered. Just see whether you are receiving more than 50 lakhs from a party, and obviously your sales in the earlier year 1920 was more than 10 crores. In that case, this provision becomes applicable, and you have to collect TCS at the rate of 0.1% till 31st March 2021 at the rate of 0.075%. So now the very important question: if it is nil TCS, whether it is to be shown in the return. Let us see. Let us see the rule 31 AA sub rule 4, which says that furnish particulars of amount received or debited on which TCS was not collected from the buyer under second proviso to subsection 1H of 206C, and in the second sub clause also it's talking about some cases. So let us see specifically in these cases what are these cases. So first is no TCS if TDS is deducted by the buyer. आपको टीसीएस कलेक्ट नहीं करना अगर बायर ने टीडीएस काटा हुआ है किसी सबसेक्शन में, किसी और सेक्शन में. So provisions of 206C1H shall not apply, as we just now discussed. If the buyer is liable to deduct TDS under any provision of this act on the goods purchased by him from the seller and has deducted such amount, let's say example of sale and installation of machinery for 2 lakh rupees, and the buyer has deducted TDS under section 194J or 194C, whatever the case may be. you have to show this in the TCS return. अगर किसी केस में बायर ने आपका टीडीएस काटा है किसी और सेक्शन के अंडर लाइक 194C 194J और उस केस में टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं है क्योंकि टीडीएस ऑलरेडी डिडक्टेड है, क्योंकि गवर्नमेंट यहाँ रेवेन्यू से ज्यादा इन ट्रांजैक्शंस को अपने नॉलेज में लाना चाहती है, तो वो नहीं चाहती कि अगर टीडीएस भी कटा हुआ है तो वो उस पर टीसीएस भी एप्लीकेबल किया जाए। तो वो कह रहे हैं कि अगर टीडीएस कटा हुआ है तो टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा, लेकिन वो चेक करना चाहते हैं कि सब कुछ सही हो रहा है नहीं हो रहा। That is why you have to ensure that these entries are there in the TCS return. They have to be shown in the TCS return. And the flag G will go in this. Like in the WebTS software, we've already made these updations. And there, when you select if Nil TDS is deducted, collected, if TDS has already been deducted, then the flag G will go in the TCS return. Obviously, in the department utility, etc., they've not updated it as of now. But in Webtel software, WebTS, we've already updated so that you can, on a month-to-month basis, you can make all these entries. Your challan will be ready. You can deposit the challan, and once the time for return comes, you can file the return without any issues. So this entry where TDS has been deducted, and that is why TCS is nil. You have to show these entries in the TCS return 27EQ. Not only that, you have also to show the proof of payment of TDS. आपको अगर TDS नहीं, TCS आपने कलेक्ट नहीं किया क्योंकि TDS एप्लीकेबल था, तो आपको बताना भी पड़ेगा कि TDS एप्लीकेबल था और उसकी पेमेंट हुई थी. So if you see form 27EQ, there is a question. उसमें change किया गया form में कि whether TDS is applicable under some other provision and it has been already deducted, and if it has been deducted, what is the challan number and the date of payment to the central government. सिन नंबर आपको बायर से लेना पड़ेगा. ये टैक्स आपने नहीं जमा कराया, आपको बायर से ये डिटेल्स लेनी पड़ेगी. सिर्फ चलान नंबर से काम नहीं चलेगा कि आपने चलान नंबर दे दिया 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 करके और डेट ऑफ पेमेंट, उससे गवर्नमेंट को पता नहीं लग पाएगा. आपको पूरा सिन देना पड़ेगा विच इंक्लूड्स चलान नंबर, द डेट, बीएसआर कोड ऑफ द बैंक ब्रांच. ये सारी डिटेल्स आपको बायर से लेनी पड़ेगी. तो एक काम आपके लिए और बढ़ गया एज अ कलेक्टर कि अगर टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं है क्योंकि टीडीएस एप्लीकेबल था, उस केस में आपको ये एंट्री अपनी टीसीएस रिटर्न में दिखानी पड़ेगी. साथ ही साथ आपको इवन द डिटेल्स ऑफ टीडीएस डिपॉजिटेड बाय द बायर विद द सिन नंबर एक्सेट्रा विल हैव टू बी शोन. ओके, next, then if it is not applicable on sales to some other sales, it is not applicable. Let us see. If the buyer is central government, state government, local authority, obviously कुछ भी इस तरह का प्रोविजन आता है तो इनको एग्जेम्पशन दे दिया जाता है, क्योंकि कहते हैं कि यहाँ कोई भी हैंकी पैंकी नहीं होगा और ऑब्वियसली वो सारे टैक्सेस वगैरह डिपॉजिट करेंगे और अपने रिटर्न्स में शो करेंगे, या एम्बेसीज, हाई कमीशंस, ट्रेड रिप्रेजेंटेशंस ऑफ फॉरेन स्टेट्स एक्सेट्रा. इन केसेस में भी टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा अंडर दिस सबसेक्शन 1H. इंपोर्ट्स के केस में एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. एंड एनी अदर नोटिफाइड पर्सन, गवर्नमेंट अगर कोई पर्सन को और नोटिफाई करेगी कि इन केसेस में भी इस सबसेक्शन में टीसीएस विल नॉट बी एप्लीकेबल, so that will be notified, but no other person has been notified as on date. What about these cases? Do we have to show them in the return, TCS return? Any replies on that? Do we have to show that in the TCS return? Yes, we have to show them in the TCS return, even to these people. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए मैं इसको कवर कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि जनरली हम इन चीजों को छोड़ देते हैं, बट तो एंड प्रैक्टिकली बताया जाता है कि ये वाली एंट्रीज आनी है, बट क्योंकि उसका कोई लीगल सैंक्टिटी नहीं होती, तो मेनी टाइम्स वी डू नॉट शो दीस काइंड ऑफ एंट्रीज इन द टीडीएस और द टीसीएस रिटर्न. बट नाउ द चेंज हैज बीन मेड इन द लॉ. रूल में उन्होंने ये चीज डाल दी है कि इन केसेस में आपको दिखाना है टीसीएस रिटर्न. तो इसलिए इट इज ऑल द मोर इम्पोर्टेंट दैट वी हैव टू शो इट इन द टीसीएस रिटर्न. And in this case, the flag H will go. Again, WebTT software, we've made the relevant changes. The flag H will go in this case. So I think it is clear कि अगर TDS कटा हुआ है उस केस में आपने टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल नहीं है आपको, या ये एग्जेम्प्टेड बायर्स हैं, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एम्बेसीज एक्सेट्रा, या इंपोर्ट्स या नोटिफाइड पर्संस, उनके केस में भी आपको टीसीएस तो एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा, लेकिन आपका फ्लैग जी या एच जाएगा एंड यू हैव टू शो दीज एंट्रीज इन योर टीसीएस रिटर्न. Questions आ रहे हैं regarding showing TCS in the invoice or a debit note, etc. Just wait for 2 minutes. I'm coming to that because that's again a very important thing. And it's applicable on sale to PSUs like GAIL, HPCL, Indian Oil, etc. Because these are PSUs, they are not government, central government or local government or state government, etc. They are not. Though they are deemed sometimes that they are part of the government, etc. But strictly speaking, they are not government or local authority, etc. So, in case mein agar sale is made to these PSUs, etc., TCS will be applicable under 1H. To university, colleges, etc. Again, they are independent entities. They may be receiving grant from the government, etc. But TCS will, under this subsection, will be applicable. To SEZ, EOU, etc. Okay, let you please answer that. Whether on sales made to SEZ, EOU, etc., whether TCS under 206C1H will be applicable or not. I want answers. I want to ensure that nobody is sleeping here. So please give me some answers. Sudhakar Barik is saying that it is applicable. What about others? Anybody else? Binoy is saying it's not applicable. Mukesh Jain is saying it's applicable. It is applicable because if you see the subsection, it is the exemption is only given to exports, goods exported out of India. Though normally SEZ, EOU, etc. are deemed as exports, and most of the provisions are applicable in the same way as in the case of exports. But here specifically, either they have to make a change in law, because abhi jo law mein hai, they are saying goods should exported out of India are exempt. So these are not goods exported out of India. That is why it will be applicable in the case of SEZ, EOU also. Sale of plant and machinery or capital goods, whether it will be applicable in this case. Fast answers. We don't have much time. Yes, it will be applicable. Only the exemption will be if TDS is deducted by the buyer. TDS ने अगर इस पे buyer ने अगर TDS deduct कर लिया है, तो sale of plant and machinery capital goods पे नहीं लगेगा TCS. Routine cases में जहाँ उसने नहीं काटा, deduct नहीं किया, deposit नहीं किया, वहाँ applicable होगा. Sale to consumer of electricity, even if the seller is government. अगर government खुद भी अगर seller है electricity की, normal discoms वगैरह उस केस में तो BSES, NDPL के केस में तो applicable होगा ही होगा. Government भी अगर supplier है, कुछ states में already government ही होता है, तो उस केस में भी applicable होगा. Because it is supplier is the government, it's not as if the buyer is government. आपस में जो electricity company sale purchase कर लेती है, वो exempt हो जाएगा अगर दोनों government है. In some other cases, let us see. What about high seas sale? High seas sale or sale and installation of machinery where TDS has been deducted. Bill discounting, purchase of bills, branch transfers. Branch transfers का किसी ने question भी पूछा था. Branch transfers पे okay, सबसे पहले branch transfers की बात करते हैं. Branch transfers पे applicable होगा या नहीं TCS? जल्दी से बताएं. On the chat box. No. That's correct. It's not applicable on branch transfers because here we are talking about income tax. Income tax में सारी branches का एक ही PAN है, वो एक ही person है, तो इसलिए उसको अलग person, distinct person नहीं माना जाएगा, like in the case of GST. तो दोनों को mix ना करें. Branch transfers पे TCS applicable नहीं है. Bill discounting, purchase of bills again is not sale of goods. So यहाँ भी applicable नहीं है. TDS already deducted है, हमने पहले ही देख लिया, उस पर भी applicable नहीं है. IC sale is also not sale of goods, exemptions etc. है उसके लिए भी, तो वहाँ भी applicable नहीं होगा TCS. What about sale of securities, shares, debentures वगैरह? If you are selling, will it be applicable in that case? Can somebody reply to that? Normally आप sales shares sale purchase कर रहे हैं और आपका टर्नओवर 50 लाख से ज्यादा हो जाता है, उस केस में
Most
applicable
of the
होगा.
people are saying no.
Yeah, I can see. So let us see little more on that. It's not applicable if shares, etc., these securities are sold through a recognized stock exchange. Listed shares हैं और recognized stock exchange के through अगर sale किए जा रहे हैं तो applicable नहीं होगा. Meaning thereby it will be applicable in other cases. कौन से वो cases हैं? Off market deals of listed shares. आपने अपने किसी फ्रेंड को कुछ रिलायंस के या और टीसीएस के शेयर्स बेच दिए और स्टॉक एक्सचेंज के थ्रू नहीं बेचे, इट इज एप्लीकेबल. या आपने कोई अनलिस्टेड शेयर्स बेच दिए जो स्टॉक एक्सचेंज पे लिस्टेड ही नहीं है, वो तो ऑफ मार्केट डील ही होगी, एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा अगर टर्नओवर आपका पूरे साल में 50 लाख से ज्यादा है एक इंडिविजुअल पर्सन के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में अगर देखेंगे. और यहाँ आप चाहे शेयर इन्वेस्टर हैं या आपका बिजनेस है सेल परचेज का, दोनों केसेस में एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा. सो एग्जेम्पशन इज देयर ओनली इन केसेस where these shares etc debentures etc are sold through recognized stock exchanges. Other cases it is the exemption is not there. Then TCS on sale of motor vehicles, as you are aware it's already applicable under section 1F. If a single motor vehicle above 10 lakhs is sold तो वहां TCS एप्लीकेबल हो जाता है. तो 1H में यहाँ एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. 1H में मोटर व्हीकल्स के केस में कब एप्लीकेबल होगा? लेट अस सी. If multiple motor vehicles up to 10 lakhs each but in aggregate above 50 lakhs are sold. आपकी कंपनी एक डीलरशिप से रेगुलरली आप अपने एम्प्लॉइज के लिए या अपने डायरेक्टर्स के लिए, पार्टनर्स के लिए व्हीकल्स, मोटर व्हीकल्स, कार्स एक्सेट्रा खरीदते रहते हैं. 10 लाख से नीचे ही है जनरली आप लोग खरीदते हैं. आपने 10 लाख से ज्यादा लिया होगा ऑब्वियसली 1H में टीसीएस कलेक्ट हो गया होगा. लेकिन अगर आपके 10 लाख से कम है, 5 लाख, 6 लाख, लेकिन टोटल आपका 50 लाख से ज्यादा हो जाता है और डीलरशिप का 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा का पिछले साल का टर्नओवर था, तो इस केस में भी 1H में टीसीएस एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा. कलेक्ट करना है इस केस में. तो गाड़ियों के केस में मोटा मोटा सभी जगह हो जाएगा अनलेस एंड अनटिल आपकी टोटल जो कंसिडरेशन है, जो सेल आप जो कंसिडरेशन है एक पर्टिकुलर पर्सन से 10 लाख से 50 लाख से नीचे है और उस केस में एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. और 10 लाख से भी नीचे है तो एप्लीकेबल नहीं होगा. अदरवाइज इन केसेस में या आइदर इन 1F और 1H इट विल बी एप्लीकेबल. TCS amount, how we will calculate, let us see. Amount received from party A till 30th of September is 45 lakhs. सितंबर तक एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, कोई बात नहीं है. 50 लाख से भी ज्यादा होता तो कोई बात नहीं है because it's applicable from 1st of October only. Amount received from the same party on 1st October is 10 lakhs. तो total amount हो गया 1st October तक 55 lakhs. TCS एप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा क्योंकि 50 लाख से ज्यादा हमने इसे रिसीव कर लिया अमाउंट. Amount on which TCS will be applicable will be 45 lakhs plus 10 lakhs minus 50 lakhs. Only on 5 lakhs TCS will be applicable. And the TCS amount will be 5 lakhs into 0.75%, that is 375 rupees. So 375 rupees will be applicable and it will have to be deposited by 7th of November unless and until there are other cases also. और भी अगर आपके पार्टीज हैं तो टोटल सबको एग्रीगेट करके आपको 7th of November तक उसको डिपॉजिट करना है. What about GST on TCS? क्या अब इशू आ रहा था कि बिल्स के ऊपर हम चार्ज करेंगे नहीं करेंगे, वो और 2 मिनट में देख लेते हैं. Now another very important question, whether GST is to be charged on TCS or not. Again I'm receiving already some replies on that. तो थोड़ा सा और कुछ लोग आप लोग भी बताइए कि हमें चार्ज करना ही नहीं करना उस केस में. लेकिन नो, ज्यादातर लोग नो कह रहे हैं, एक आध यस भी कह रहे हैं. इसमें डिपार्टमेंट को भी कंफ्यूजन था. उन्होंने सर्कुलर निकाल दिया कि एप्लीकेबल होगा. फिर थोड़ा सा शोर मचा and people probably represented to the government again, and then they came out with a corrigendum to the circular whereby they said it will not be applicable. So So they said that for the purpose of determination of value of supply and GST, TCS and the provisions of the Income Tax Act 1961 would not be includable as it is an interim levy not having the character of tax. ये इन्होंने corrigendum issue किया था 7th of March को regarding circular number 76 of 31st March 2018. तो यहाँ इन्होंने clarify किया कि आपको जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा टीसीएस के ऊपर। तो इस केस में फिर हमारी अकाउंटिंग एंट्री क्या हो जानी चाहिए? लेट अस सी, सेल्स अमाउंट इज लेट्स से 1 लाख, और ये हम उस केस की बात कर रहे हैं जहां बिल में इंक्लूड कर रहे हैं। आई थिंक अच्छा पहले बताएं आप लोग जनरली अभी तक आप लोग क्या एडवाइस कर रहे हैं या खुद अपनी कंपनीज में कर रहे हैं? व्हाट आर यू डूइंग? आर यू चार्जिंग in the bill itself or you are issuing a debit note later on? So can I get a reply to that? Then I'll proceed. Kapil Agarwal is issuing a debit note. Prakash Saklani is doing through billing. Basavraj is also doing through billing. Subodh also in bill. Most of the people are, I think, charging in the bill. It's Kapil Agarwal is saying that's complex. अभी देख लेते हैं कि कौन सा बेटर ऑप्शन है, और ऑब्वियसली चॉइस आपके पास है, दोनों काम किए जा सकते हैं। सो कमिंग बैक टू द क्वेश्चन वेयर वी आर चार्जिंग इन द इनवॉइस, तो उस केस में लेट अस द सेल अमाउंट इज 1 लाख रुपीस, जीएसटी एट द रेट ऑफ 18% इज 18,000। तो इस केस में आप जो जीएसटी टीसीएस होगा आपका 1 लाख रुपीस के ऊपर करेंगे, क्योंकि डिपार्टमेंट ने क्लेरिफाई किया कि जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा टीसीएस के अमाउंट के ऊपर, तो आपने 0.075% 1 लाख के ऊपर चार्ज किया, 75 रुपीज हो गए, और टोटल पार्टी को डेबिट कर दिया 1,18,075। ठीक है, कोई इश्यू इसमें, कोई प्रॉब्लम? ठीक है, या कुछ आगे बढ़े इसमें, या किसी का कुछ कंसर्न है? ठीक है, इट्स ओके।
राइट सर, राइट सर।
Okay.
So there was I think one query.
Somebody is saying it should be 88 rupees 50 पैसा। आते हैं सर, उसमें भी आते हैं, थोड़ा जरा धीरे धीरे चलेंगे, एक ज्यादा तेज चलेंगे तो कंफ्यूजन हो जाएगा। फिर आता है नो एडजस्टमेंट फॉर जीएसटी।
सर टीसीएस ओनली ऑन बेसिक,
अभी हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, वही चीज डिस्कस कर रहे हैं।
ठीक है सर, ठीक है।
अब ये तो क्लियर हो गया हमें, डिपार्टमेंट ने एक सर्कुलर निकाला, उसका कॉरिजेंडम करके उन्होंने बता दिया कि जीएसटी नहीं लगना टीसीएस के ऊपर, राइट। अब अगला एक और इनका क्लेरिफिकेशन आया, सर्कुलर 17 ऑफ 2020, जिसमें पैरा 4.6 में दे से एडजस्टमेंट फॉर सेल रिटर्न, डिस्काउंट और इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, नो एडजस्टमेंट ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ indirect taxes including GST is required to be made for TCS since the collection is made with reference to the receipt of amount of sale consideration। ये समझ में आ गया क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं इसमें? कह रहे हैं आपको कोई सेल रिटर्न्स का, कोई डिस्काउंट का, कोई इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस इंक्लूडिंग जीएसटी का एडजस्टमेंट करने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि आपको तो जो टोटल पैसा रिसीव किया है, टोटल अमाउंट दैट यू हैव रिसीव्ड, you have to collect TCS on that. You don't have to see it as the basic amount, whether it is TCS, whether it is some other levy, whether it is indirect tax or some chungi or CROI, etc. Whatever it is, whatever amount, ऐसा पैसा होता है, पैसा रिसीव करने के बाद नहीं देखना कि वो क्या था, वो टैक्स था या बेसिक अमाउंट था या कुछ और था। अब बताएं क्या करें? अब ये हमारी सेम गवर्नमेंट है जिन्होंने दो अलग अलग क्लेरिफिकेशंस दी हैं। अब क्या किया जाए? So what is the suggestion now? What is to be done? TCS to be deducted on GST also. We are charging on total value. It means TCS also on GST. Yes. अब ऐसे ही लग रहा है क्योंकि ये स्पेसिफिकली इस सबसेक्शन को मद्देनजर रखते हुए इन्होंने ये वाला क्लैरिफिकेशन इशू किया है, तो इसलिए लगता है कि हमें इसको ही कंसिडर करना चाहिए, अदरवाइज बाद में हमें दिक्कतें भी आएंगी। लेट अस सी हाउ। सो बेसिक अमाउंट, जीएसटी एंड टोटल कंसिडरेशन। सो जनरली आई थिंक अब हमारा एक जनरल ओपिनियन ये है दैट इट शुड बी ऑन द टोटल कंसिडरेशन। whatever GST you are collecting. So now the accounting entry will be 1 lakh is the amount of basic amount of sale, 18,000 is the GST, and TCS now we will collect on the total amount of 1,18,000, that is 88 rupees 50 paisa, rounded off to 89 rupees, and from the party you will debit 1,18,089 rupees in the invoice. So everybody is agreeing to that? Yes?
Sir, mostly
अभी
yes.
तो आप किसी और थे. So now the position has changed. So yes, I think this is advisable. और दोबारा से हम सेक्शन को भी देख लेते हैं, सब सेक्शन को. It says that the amount has to be collected on 0.1% of the sale consideration. अब फिर again सवाल आएंगे, what is sale consideration? So I think we should not get into all these issues, and whatever the total amount is, let us collect on that. So, and because the total amount that we'll receive from the party will be this 1,18,089 rupees. अब इसका एक और इसके थर्ड इशू आ गया कि कायदे से तो 1,89,089 रुपीस पे कलेक्ट होना चाहिए टीसीएस, क्योंकि सेल कंसिडरेशन तो ये है. बट आई थिंक क्योंकि परसेंटेज अभी बहुत कम है, 0.075% और 0.1% later on after 31st March 2021, it will not make much of difference. इस पे भी आप कैलकुलेट करेंगे या माइनर डिफरेंस आएगा, आई थिंक दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडेबल, तो प्रॉब्लम नहीं आनी चाहिए. So let us charge it on the total amount, including the TCS amount of the GST. Now, another issue that people have been asking about refund of advance. If you've received an advance and you've collected TCS, and within the same month, if it has been refunded back, then no issue. You may not deposit this TCS in the next month, and you can return it to the party. But if it has been collected, it has been deposited, and later on the advance is returned, then you do not have to refund the TCS part. The buyer can claim it in the ITR. Okay. The buyer may agree, all those practical issues could be there, but the law is clear that you, even in the circular, they clearly say that you do not need to refund this amount, TCS amount. Obviously, advance you'll have to refund. The TCS amount you need not return to the buyer. You can claim it in the ITR in any case. There are a few things that the government still needs to clarify. What are these? Whether GST is to be included or not for turnover criteria. जो हम 10 करोड़ की बात कर रहे हैं, वो कौन सा अमाउंट है, बेसिक अमाउंट है या इंक्लूडिंग जीएसटी है? ऑब्वियसली ये जो हमारे बॉर्डर लाइन केसेस होंगे उनके केस में ही एप्लीकेबल है कि बॉर्डर लाइन केसेस अगर हमारे हैं और वहां अगर टैक्स इंक्लूड कर लेते हैं तो थ्रेशोल्ड से ज्यादा हो जाता है, 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा, और अगर नहीं इंक्लूड करते तो कम हो जाता है. सिर्फ उन केसेस में एप्लीकेबल है. जो बेसिक अमाउंट है आपका 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा है तो वो इशू नहीं है. तो गवर्नमेंट इसको क्लैरिफाई कर दे तो अच्छा हो जाएगा उन लोगों के लिए. And if sale and purchase is from the same person and net payment is received, even this is not clarified. What is to be done? क्या इस केस में ग्रॉस पेमेंट को देखें या क्या देखें? ये क्लियर नहीं किया गवर्नमेंट में. The government needs to clarify that also. And third case is there. We are dealing in both goods and services. और जो पेमेंट आ रही है कभी गुड्स के लिए आ रही है, कभी सर्विसेज के लिए आ रही है, कभी दोनों का मिला जुला के आ रही है. कई बार हमें पता भी नहीं होता किसके लिए आ गई है. बट द मोर इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज द पेमेंट इज रिसीव्ड. तो उस केस में भी हमें प्रॉब्लम आएगी. आई थिंक जो लोग इस तरह की डील कर रहे हैं विल बी फेसिंग इश्यूज. तो इट विल बी गुड इफ द गवर्नमेंट क्लेरिफाइज दैट आल्सो. नाउ व्हाट अबाउट क्रेडिट ऑफ टीसीएस? इस साल में ये क्रेडिट लेना है. Answers in the chat box. When we have to take this credit of TCS? The normal provision है हमारी, and it has been clarified that it is not an additional tax. Buyer can get credit in ITR, And we have a rule 37I sub rule 2, which says that where tax has been collected at source and paid to the central government, credit for such tax shall be given for the assessment year for which the income is assessable to tax. इसका मतलब ये हुआ इस सब रूल का, जैसे टीडीएस में भी होता है, जिस साल में यू आर ऑफरिंग योर इनकम फॉर टैक्सेशन, द सेम ईयर यू विल टेक द क्रेडिट ऑफ टीडीएस और टीसीएस. प्रॉब्लम उन केसेस में आएगी जहां पिछले साल की कंसिडरेशन आप रिसीव अप कर रहे हैं, टीसीएस जमा करा रहे हैं, तो उस केस में क्या करेंगे, क्योंकि उस साल की इनकम तो पिछले साल में आपने दिखा दी, 1920 में दिखा दी, और टीसीएस इस साल में कलेक्ट हो रहा है और आप इस साल लेना चाहेंगे तो वो तो मिसमैच हो जाएगा. गवर्नमेंट हैड थॉट अबाउट दैट, तो ये प्रॉब्लम ना हो इसके लिए उन्होंने एक चेंज किया है, सब रूल 2A और ले आए हैं 37I में, whereby से that इस केस में आपको क्रेडिट उसी साल में मिलेगा जिस साल में कलेक्शन हुई है. Thankfully that that change has been done by the government. तो जिस साल आपका टीसीएस कलेक्ट हुआ है उस साल में आपको करना है. टीडीएस के लिए ऐसा कोई चेंज नहीं है. टीडीएस में जिस साल आपकी इनकम होती है उसी साल आपको टीडीएस का बेनिफिट मिलता है. आप अगर नहीं लेते, किसी और साल में ले लेते हैं, तो गवर्नमेंट उसको डिसअलाउ कर सकती है. टीसीएस अकाउंट्स, बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन जो बार बार लोग पूछते जा रहे हैं कि इनवॉइस में चार्ज करें या डेबिट नोट रेज करें, मंथली बेसिस पे या क्वार्टरली बेसिस पे, दोनों ऑप्शंस हैं. आई थिंक फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ प्रैक्टिकलिटी एंड आपको प्रॉब्लम्स ना आए बाद में, क्योंकि अगर आप बिल में जो भी चार्ज कर देते हैं तो बायर को पहले से पता लग जाता है, ही knows from the beginning that he has to pay not say let's say 100 rupees, he has to pay 101 rupees because the TCS is 100 rupees ke paisa, because TCS amount is there. From the very beginning he knows. Or sometimes you have some very few transactions from a person, and by the time when you issue such a debit note, probably he will not be having further dealings with you, आपको पेमेंट ही ना करे वो TCS अमाउंट की. So from those angles, I think it is better that you charge in the invoice, and all the standard packages, whether accounting packages or ERPs, are giving this option to include the TCS amount in the bill itself. और जो प्रॉब्लम्स उसके आएंगी वो हम देख चुके हैं, और किस तरह से उसे हैंडल करना है वो भी हम देख चुके हैं. So we can issue it in the included in the invoice. So at the very first point itself, the buyer knows that he has to pay 100 rupees plus an X amount of TCS. The other option obviously of the periodic debit notes is there. You can do that also, no issues with that. So both options will do. Now there was also a question I remember on the chat box, whether debit credit notes can be adjust from the invoice. Let us say again, if the debit credit note is in the same month in which the invoice is issued. अब आप अक्टूबर के मंथ की बात करेंगे, आपका इनवॉइस अक्टूबर का है, 15th अक्टूबर का है, और 20th of October you issue a credit note to the party because there were some rejection, some items were short, the quality was not good, whatever, you issued some credit note, and it is within the same month. So for 10,000 rupees, some 1,000 credit note has been issued. So for 9,000 rupees, you can collect TCS. Unless until आपने इनवॉइस में किया है, आप उसकी एडजस्टमेंट दिखाना चाहते हैं, but within the books this adjustment can be done, and आप 9,000 rupees के ऊपर ही TCS कलेक्ट करके डिपॉजिट कर सकते हैं नेक्स्ट मंथ में, क्योंकि it is happening within the same month. लेकिन अगर वो सब्सिक्वेंट मंथ में है तो उसमें आप एडजस्टमेंट नहीं करेंगे, because you have already deposited the tax. So in that case, no adjustment is possible. The buyer can claim it in his ITR. Then also we issue financial credit or debit notes. Quality की वजह से या discount की वजह से या prompt payments की वजह से we get some further discount to the party, issue credit notes. In that case, these credit notes are generally for different invoices. एक तो वो invoices, obviously कुछ invoices of the past period की हैं, कुछ current period की भी हो सकती हैं. So they are pertaining to several invoices. So it is not possible to adjust them from a particular invoice. So and these are financial debit credit notes. इन पे GST का भी impact normally नहीं आता. आपने GST जमा कराया तो वो रिवर्स नहीं करेंगे, तो TCS के लिए भी इन केसेस में कोई एडजस्टमेंट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. What about e-invoice? E-invoice, as you're aware, is already mandatory in the case of people having turnover above 500 crores in any of the years 17, 18, 18, 19, and 19, 20. Now, from 29th of October, it has also been enabled e-filing portal पे जो हमारा GST e-invoice का portal है, वहाँ testing के लिए they have also enabled people having turnover from 100 to 500 crores from 29th of October, and shortly this notification is to come from the government since when it will be applicable to them. लेकिन टेस्टिंग के लिए उन्होंने ऑलरेडी APIs वगैरह की टेस्टिंग के लिए या इंटीग्रेशन के लिए उन्होंने ऑलरेडी इनवॉइस का जो पोर्टल है वहाँ एनेबल कर दिया है 100 करोड़ to 500 करोड़ कंपनीज को भी, ताकि वो टेस्टिंग शुरू कर पाए. Because उनका 500 crores and more वाली companies के लिए it's been quite successful and it's running smoothly, and around 15 to 18 lakh invoices are generated on a daily basis. This number is continuously growing, and the government is very enthusiastic about it, and that is why it has been enabled even for the companies having turnover or even other assessees having turnover from 100 to 500 crores. The notification is to come shortly, and it will be in all likelihood be applicable from 1st of January 2020. तो वो लोग भी प्लीज स्टार्ट कर दीजिए, इनवॉइसिंग के लिए तैयारी शुरू कर दीजिए. एंड एज यू आर अवेयर, वेबटेल इज डूइंग इंटीग्रेशन फॉर वेरियस ERPs, SAP, Navision, even accounting packages like Tally and Busy, etc. So we are doing this integration. एक seamless integration होता है जहाँ आपको कोई problems नहीं है. Coming back to the topic, how to show TCS in the e-invoice. Where to show it? In the FAQs, if you see, they don't have a separate field for TCS in the invoice, but as a workaround, they have clarified in the FAQs, the GST department, that other charges invoice level can be used to mention TCS where it does not form part of the taxable value, and if it forms part of the taxable value, तो relevant जहाँ taxable portion है वहाँ दिखा सकते हैं. तो जिस तरह से भी आप डिसाइड करते हैं कि टैक्सेबल वैल्यू में इंक्लूड करना है या नहीं इंक्लूड करना, उसी तरह से आप उसको e-invoice में भी दिखा सकते हैं. In the subsequent updates, TCS as a separate field will also come in the e-invoice. So I think the basic things, the practical issues we have discussed, and now what are the challenges? Let us see more challenges. Generally, in the case of the accounting packages and ERPs, the updates are there regarding the TCS part of the invoice. They have made the changes in the invoice so that TCS can be shown in the invoice, but they are not handling the TDS and TCS compliance portion. And TCS return, as you are aware, is to be filed every quarter, and we get only 15 days. Normally, TDS returns के लिए आपको 31 days का time मिलता है from end of the quarter, but for TCS days they've still not made the change. It is to be filed within 15 days from the end of the quarter. तो इसमें आपको सिर्फ 15 days का time मिलता है. And businesses have been filing the TCS returns in the past also, लेकिन अभी तक ये manageable था क्योंकि TCS की entries बहुत कम होती थी. Generally, in the case of manufacturing concerns or trading concerns, scrap की entries होती थी, या specialized हमारे businesses थे जो टिंडू leaves sale करते हैं, या timber वगैरह, mineral ores वगैरह sale करते हैं, या alcoholic liquor sale करते हैं, या scrap sale करते हैं, और dealerships etc. selling motor vehicles above 10 lakhs, इन लोगों को ही applicable था. तो generally लोगों को जो applicable था वो scrap की वजह से applicable. That was till 30th of September 2020, but from 1st October 2020 onwards, this provision is applicable in the case of all kinds of goods. और जिन पे already अभी हमने पिछली स्लाइड में देखा उन sections में है, उन sections पे तो applicable है ही obviously goods, लेकिन और बाकी सभी goods पे 206C1H में applicable हो गया है. So all kinds of goods, practically any goods that you think about, machinery, stationery, laptops, groceries, obviously small amounts के लिए applicable नहीं है. बड़े restaurants हो सकते हैं, बड़े hotels हो सकते हैं, 5-star hotels, जहाँ groceries का amount भी जो sale consideration होता है, it is more than 50 lakhs from the people they sell, तो वहाँ भी applicable हो जाए. So practically all kinds of goods. And in the case of big corporates, there will be thousands and lakhs of entries in each quarter. क्योंकि ये एक scrap की entry नहीं है, जो आपकी महीने के एंड में आपने स्क्रैप बेच दी और उसके लिए भी एप्लीकेबल हो गया है। सो यहाँ तो आपका जो नॉर्मल गुड्स आप बेच रहे हैं, जो आपके नॉर्मल गुड्स, आपके बिजनेस की नॉर्मल गुड्स हैं जो आप सेल कर रहे हैं, उसको आप बेच रहे हैं, उस पे एप्लीकेबल हो गया है। तो इसलिए कई बार तो आपके किसी क्वार्टर में एप्लीकेबल ही नहीं था क्योंकि स्क्रैप होता ही नहीं था, और क्योंकि आप नॉर्मल बिजनेस में डील करते हैं। अब तो हर क्वार्टर में, क्योंकि ये आपकी नॉर्मल एंट्रीज पे, नॉर्मल गुड्स पे एप्लीकेबल हो गया, तो आपके हर क्वार्टर में hundreds and thousands and lakhs of entries only, particularly for big corporates. And as I said, in the accounting they've done these changes, but compliance solutions के लिए, TCS returns filing के लिए, these softwares have not made the changes. In our Webby TDS software also, there is an option whereby you can manually do these entries. Obviously, the entries are few. Entries can be done here. Or if the entries are a little larger, आपकी entries ज़्यादा होती हैं, उस केस में आप हमने Excel utility भी हम provide करते हैं. Webtel provide the Excel utility whereby अगर आपका ERP या आपका accounting package आपको dump दे देता है डेटा का Excel या CSV फॉर्मेट में, तो वो आप यहाँ copy paste करके यहाँ से रिटर्न जनरेट कर सकते हैं. बट एक्सेल की भी कुछ challenges हैं. What are these? A huge data takes a lot of time in processing. आपको पता है इस तरह से प्रोसेसिंग आता रहता है और आपको कई बार काफी टाइम भी लग जाता है, and a lot of time and effort is spent in that case. And Excel की limitations भी हैं, in spite of it being a wonderful tool for all of us, particularly our chartered accountants and people who are doing these kind of work. It's a wonderful tool. We use it extensively, but Excel has its limitations. And if the data is really large, in the case of if the rows are even more than 10 lakh, let's say the rows are 10 lakh 50,000, Excel भी आपको जवाब दे देगा. It will not be able to handle that data because this is the limitation of Excel. उसके बाद क्या करेंगे? एक और चैलेंज जो आपको आता है, आप फेस करते हैं कि कुछ चीजों पे जीएसटी एप्लीकेबल है, लाइक फ्रेट एक्सेट्रा, दीज आर पार्ट ऑफ द टैक्सेबल वैल्यू, और कुछ चीजों पे एप्लीकेबल नहीं है, लाइक एजेंट रीइंबर्समेंट कुछ केसेस में, जैसे टीसीएस पे आप लोग नहीं एप्लीकेबल करेंगे, बट दैट इज पार्ट ऑफ द इनवॉइस वैल्यू. एंड इस वजह से जो आपके GSTR1 में और इनवॉइस वैल्यू आपकी होती है, उसमें फर्क होता है. लाइक आप देखेंगे कि जो आपका टैक्सेबल वैल्यू है उस पे आप रेट अप्लाई करेंगे 18% का, तो आपका TCS अमाउंट GST का अमाउंट आ जाएगा, और इन दोनों को टोटल करेंगे तो इनवॉइस वैल्यू आ जानी चाहिए. लेकिन कुछ ऐसी और चीजें होती हैं, फ्रेट या आपका TCS का अमाउंट या रीइंबर्समेंट का अमाउंट, दो मिला के आपकी इनवॉइस वैल्यू डिफरेंट होती है. तो आपका थोड़ा सा मिसमैच होता है, और पीपल आर नॉट वेरी कंफर्टेबल कि कल को डिपार्टमेंट से इस बारे में क्वेरीज ना आ जाएं. तो इवन दैट इज बीइंग हैंडल्ड इन आवर कंप्लायंस सॉल्यूशन. हमारा जो जीएसटी का सॉफ्टवेयर है, वेब जीएसटी, या हमारे जो प्रीमियम सॉल्यूशंस हैं, देयर वी आर हैंडलिंग दिस इशू आल्सो. इस तरह से ये मैंने आपको क्वेरी दी है. आपको एक केस स्टडी दिया है जहां हमारा इनवॉइस में इस तरह से अमाउंट आ रहे हैं, और GSTR1 में हमारा अमाउंट आता है जिसमें TCS इंक्लूडेड नहीं है, फॉर द पर्पस वेयर GST हैज नॉट बीन मेड एप्लीकेबल ऑन TCS, या कुछ और एज अ प्योर एजेंट आपने कुछ फाइलिंग फीस वगैरह जमा कराई जो आपका GST नहीं लग रहा, तो उस केस में ये मिसमैच आ जाता है. इवन दैट इज बीइंग हैंडल्ड इन आवर कंप्लायंस सॉल्यूशंस ऑफ GST. So I'd like to summarize here now, and thereafter I'll take the queries. So let's see what is the checklist for TCS. Check turnover for the previous year. If it is more than 10 crores, then it's applicable to you. Check whether TCS is applicable under section 206C1H or other subsections, or both. Check whether TDS is applicable in such cases. If it is that be the case, in that case 1/8 shall not be applicable. But even these cases have to be shown in the TCS return. Please remember, these kind of cases have also to be shown in the TCS return. Identify clients from whom the total receipts during the financial year 2021 is expected to exceed 50 lakhs. Inform them through mails, emails, etc. regarding applicability of TCS with effect from 1st October 2020. आपने अगर इनवॉइस में चार्ज करना शुरू कर दिया, so they are already aware. But if you are using the mode of debit notes etc., तो for some people it will be a bolt from the blue कि ये क्या आपने चार्ज कर लिया, उनको पता ही नहीं होगा, तो उनको एडवांस में इंटीमेट कर दीजिए, क्योंकि अब आपका डिपॉजिट करने का टाइम भी आ रहा है. Ensure suitable changes are there in the ERP or the accounting package for including TCS amount in the invoice, or alternatively, you can issue a debit note also. Create a separate ledger account in the books, TCS on receipts from sale of goods under current liabilities. Already आपने शायद बना लिया होगा इसका. Preferably keep it separate from other TCS which is applicable on sale. Other cases में जो आपका अगर TCS scrap वगैरह पे applicable है, दोनों को अलग-अलग रखें, I think better रहेगा. Integration in ERP for seamless integration of TCS data. Deposit TCS by 7th of the next month. File TCS return in 15 days from end of the quarter. ये सब चीजों का आपको ध्यान रखना है ताकि आप TCS compliances अपनी properly कर पाएं. Now coming to the Webtel corporate solutions, as you are aware, we are already offering solutions to corporates for GST compliances, e-way bill, e-invoice, TDS, etc. Already for a lot of corporates, we are doing all these solutions whereby we are integrating with various ERPs like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft Dynamics, BAN, etc. And also smaller packages, Tally, Busy, etc. We are doing end-to-end integration so that there's a seamless integration, and compliances can be very simple. At a click of a button, e-way can be generated. At a click of a button, e-invoice can be generated. And we've been holding various webinars on these e-invoices, etc., to educate you about all those things. So that we are already doing. Now, since there were inquiries from many corporates regarding TCS also, because again the data is very huge and they do not know how to handle it. So we have come out with this solution also, and I'll just illustrate in the case of SAP how we are intending to do, and it will be similar in the case of other ERPs also. So we'll use data from SAP, extract data through T codes that we'll write for the package. The data will be transferred to a FTP location, and a Windows service will be running in the background. And from there, the data will go to MySQL staging and also to Webby TDS database. And from there, the data will be accessed by Webby TDS software of Webtel. And from there, the return of TDS, TCS will be prepared. Every file will be prepared, which can be uploaded on the portal of the TDS department, and also can be generated, taken in a pen drive, etc., and deposit at it in FC. So this is a complete process, and this is a seamless integration for whether for TDS, whether for TCS, whether for invoicing. The process similar, or even the e-way bill. Already, those of you who are using these facilities know how comfortable it is. And another important thing, e-invoicing, the people have been given some relief by the government till 31st of October. That is, they have got 30 days time for generating of IRN or invoice reference number. That time period is expiring today. So from tomorrow onwards, 1st of November onwards, please ensure that you are uploading the e-invoice data at the portal of the government. If you are 500 crores and more, as of now, you cannot dispatch the material before uploading the data on the portal and getting an IRN against the same. Otherwise, it will be dispatching the material without valid documents, and all the penalties, etc., all the consequences will follow. So please remember, today is the last date. Tomorrow onwards, please upload the data before dispatching the material. And we have these numbers on our screens, and I think we will talk about that. Shubham, you can take over, and then we can take queries also.
Before we take the queries, I would like to request all the participants, as sir already mentioned, to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Webtel Lectures Private Limited. We are posting informative and interactive videos on daily basis on the various updations on direct and indirect taxations. So don't forget to subscribe and press the bell icon so that you don't, skip on any of the updates coming your way. And with that, I would like to request sir to take the queries. And in case if anyone is interested in connecting to us, can simply scan this QR code, or this is the mobile number of my mobile number. You can contact me post this webinar. in regards to any requirement of any of our services or any of the queries related to the webinar, you can simply scan this QR code or call me on the number provided below. Over to you, sir. I think, sir, we have a lot of queries, sir, during the webinar. I can
Yeah, I'll
300
take up the
messages,
queries.
sir.
Yeah. There's also a query whether we'll be the recorded session. Yeah, the recorded session will be available on YouTube also, and also obviously on YouTube it will be there.
It's
So
already
let's
shown,
take up
sir.
the
The
queries.
video is already posted. The first video is already there. So you just need
Right.
to go there, subscribe our YouTube channel, and get an exclusive look at our content. Ji, sir.
Then there's a question. We are charging TCS invoice after 31st March 2021. The rate will be 0.1%. Can we issue the debit note to our customer on closing balance as on 31st March 2021 on account of the difference amount? See, these are the practical issues. It's up to you to include the entire thing in the bill itself. If because till 31st March the rate is 0.075% only, so all the bills that you are issuing till 31st March 2021, the rate can be 0.075%. From 1st of April onwards, the rate will be 0.1% that you can charge in the invoice. If there is some mismatch, etc., obviously you can issue a debit note. The government is saying nothing. You issue a debit note, you issue an invoice. The government is more concerned that you show it in the TCS return, you charge TCS on that at the relevant rate, deposit it and show in the return. So it is internal, whatever the working is there. No issues with that. You can do whatever way you like. And obviously you can go through the invoice route. If anything remains, you can it can be a mix of the two also. If any amount remains due to some issues, you can issue a debit note also. No problem with that. Sales of 1920 are 6 crore. Receipts in 2021 in all from one party are 1.20 crore. What is the position? Obviously, you are falling, Kishan Chand Mittal is falling the TCS applicability because last year the receipts, oh, okay, there were 6 crores, not above 10 crores. So, okay, it's not applicable. So both the conditions should be satisfied. So, TCS is not applicable in this case. So, there's a question from Mukesh Jain whether we can directly upload Busy to WebTJ software. No, obviously, it has to be in some particular format. And if in Busy software they're giving an option to export the entries in Excel format or CSV format, then you can copy paste such entries in the Excel worksheet that we are providing. If advance is received before billing, TCS to be collected extra, or do we do back calculations? Again, you can do the backward calculations, and the TCS amount should be the balance amount only after considering the advance. But even if you ignore that and you collect TCS on the total invoice amount, doesn't matter, because in any case the government will be getting it. Your client will be getting, if he's not very fussy, he can claim it in the ITR. So not much an issue, but you can do as your client is okay with. Then Ashok Sharma is asking what I was talking about the big hotels, etc. I was saying in the case of big hotels, even the groceries that they purchase from the clients. In that case, if it is a big client, and in that case, many a times even the payment by the hotels is more than 50 lakhs, and if it is applicable to the client also, in that case also TCS will be applicable. The client will be charging from the seller of the groceries, etc. will be charging from the hotel that I was saying. Then for the applicability, as somebody is saying, 40 lakhs sale is before September, up to September, 25 lakhs is after September. So it is total 65 lakhs. So obviously 50 lakhs has to be removed from that. Only on 15 lakhs you have to collect TCS and deposit it. From YouTube, you can take the queries in between.
Sure.
And there's a question. There's a question from Neeraj Pahuja. Can TDS challan be interchanged with TCS? TDS different sections they are allowing. TCS, I think. Let me recheck and then we'll get back to you. We have received receipt of 6 crore before 30th of September. Should we collect TCS on that also? From the same party, if you have received before 30th of September 6 crores, then from on consideration receipt of even 1 rupee, you'll have to charge TCS, but not on the amount that you've already received of 6 crores. After that, even for 1,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees, or 1 crore rupees, on that you have to collect TCS on the full amount. And if somebody wants to ask on even voice, he can raise his hand and he can, the Shubham can unmute you.
Sure, sir. So if anyone wants to ask their queries directly, they can raise their hands and I'll unmute you. I would like to request these participants to kindly ask the queries on the related topic. So we have Debashish ji. I'm unmuting you, sir. Now I'm trying to unmute Sanjay Kumar ji.
हेलो।
हाँ जी संजय जी।
हाँ, ये हाईसी सेल पे टीसीएस क्यों नहीं एप्लीकेबल है? यहाँ तो बायर और सेलर दोनों इंडियन होते हैं। हेलो। हेलो। हेलो।
Sir, I think there is some connectivity issue with Rajiv sir's voice. So
ओके,
wait for a couple of minutes, sir will join.
मेरा क्वेश्चन क्लियर है ना?
I would like to request all the participants to kindly wait for a couple of minutes. There is some issue with Rajiv sir's internet, so he'll be joining in a while, and I'll unmute all the participants who are waiting for their queries. Till that time, I would request all these participants to kindly go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also, these are the contact details. Further queries, you can directly mail to us on contactus@webtel.co. And you can also visit our website, which is www.webtel.in. We have a special webinar section there where you'll get all the updated information on the upcoming webinars coming in the future, and you can just visit there and register for the upcoming webinars.